First up or next up today, Phoenix Revolution is the show to where we transform unapologetically with Stacey. Let's bring Stacey on to reintroduce herself, her show, and what's up. Welcome.
Hi, Nicole. Great to hear from you. How are you doing this week?
I'm interesting.
I think
Diverse.
that's your answer. I think that's your answer every time I ask.
It probably
It's
is.
interesting. And I think it's the perfect word to describe it because yeah, we are living in very interesting times. So I think we're going to be creating our own little language, a brand new language after we get through this very interesting time. So welcome to everyone on the show. I am Stacey the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Phoenix Revolution Radio Transform Unapologetically. And today I really felt called. I was going to have a guest on, and they had to cancel sort of at the somewhat last minute. And I thought, you know what? I think this is fitting because I don't know about you guys, but I know I have been just craving, seeking out, yearning for some support, some guidance, some real, I want to say like solid answers and solid guidance to all of the craziness and chaos that's going on in the world. And, being a psychic intuitive, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 11 years, 12 years officially, but basically this way my whole life. Yeah, I got my own guides. I can tune in and get messaging and information, and I can pass that on to others, without any problem. But when I'm close to something, when there's something that matters to me that I'm involved in, sometimes I can't be objective. Sometimes it's hard to hear the voices, it's hard to connect with the guidance, the information. And so I thought today, you know what? Let's just do a real deep dive card reading, card spread. And I know we're on radio, so you're not getting a chance to visually see this, but I promise you, I will keep you informed on the cards and what we're pulling. And I had like played around with a couple of different card spreads to go over today, and all of a sudden, I want to say 2 hours ago, it hit me that a few years ago, I created these. They're called Phoenix Phase support packs, and it's all connected to the what type of Phoenix personality you are, helping you through whatever phase of the Phoenix you find yourself in. And so if you are interested in that, you can go to my website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com. You can join my Black Feather community on Mighty if you want to find out a little bit more about that. But my point in all of this is my guides talked to me today a couple of hours ago and said, hey, you're trying to create this new spread, but you've already got a really great spread that can kind of address most of your concerns, and it's in these Phoenix Face support packs, which truthfully I haven't looked at in a couple of years. So we're gonna do a spread from there, and basically what and I was saying this to Nicole earlier. There are so many different people that you can follow on YouTube for sort of the somewhat predictive, WTF is going on kind of stuff. And I just need support. So I am going to do this reading from the perspective of what kind of support do we need? If I'm needing this, I know that there are so many other people needing it. So, first things first, as we look into, the transformational support during this chaotic time, I just want to say that we are all in the burning phase of the Phoenix. And that's why this feels so fucking hard. And not to make it political, but just to be very, I want to say, direct and on point with every single one of us is being affected today. Whether you are I happen to be living in the United States, whether you're in the U.S., in North America, or anywhere else around the world, you are being affected by what is transpiring. There are major, major shifts that are happening, and this is what it means to be in a Phoenix burning phase, because it's like the Tower card and the Tarot and the Death card. There is significant lasting change. This is the kind of change that we're never going to come back from. We can only move forward with it. And it's happening, with the Tower card, it's happening suddenly. It's happening, it's kind of like in your face. You can't avoid it. You might not have even been able to fully prepare for the effects of it and how it was going to affect you on a personal level. And there are a lot of people out there who don't really purport to politics and choose to kind of stay away from all of that stuff. And there's still that collective fear out there. So what we kind of need to understand about this phase for us right now is that the Phoenix burning phase can be pretty scary, can be very, very intense because it is the Phoenix that is burning and you're burning into a pile of ash. And that's exactly what it feels like right now is whether you're watching it or whether you're, dealing with it intimately, you are feeling the heat. And we are not coming back from this. And I don't say that to be Debbie Downer. I don't say that to be mean and cruel and to instill fear. I say that because we need to all be very realistic. We need to be honest with ourselves. This is not a choice point where we can say, okay, we're going to stop this, crazy train and we're going to whatever. That ship has sailed. So, we're on the train and it is moving way faster than we ever thought it was going to move. And we are so far removed from what was, even though it was only a few months ago, that this isn't about going back. It's important that everyone understand we have to move forward. So I feel like that's what we need to understand about this phase right now is that even though we don't like it, it's time to recognize that it's radical acceptance and radical surrender. And it's not surrender as in waving the white truce flag and giving up. It's surrender from the perspective of, okay, dream team, okay, universe, okay, source. We see that this is happening. We've been preparing for this for a while. We've been hearing about it for a long time. Now it's here. What do we need to know? How can we get through this? So the first question that I'm going to pull cards from, and I'm using the Slow Tarot from Lacey Bryant today. What lessons have we learned during this recent chapter? It's kind of like what is the whole point of the chapter? And oh, interesting, I'm getting the Empress card. And the Empress card is the abundance, the sweetness of life, the I want to say what is mine is yours. We have all of the things that we need. I feel like in many ways we can say right now that the lessons we learned were how to grow ourselves. And I'm going to speak now just as a Canadian who is a dual citizenship, American as well, and not so proud to be right now, but very proud to be American overall. And what this all is all about is that we learned to live in the American dream, to grow into the American dream, to dream big, the vision of things. And this country achieved a lot of that. And we became, I want to say, a productive member of our global society and community. And the Empress can be that wonderful abundance and all the things in the stuff. But when it's abused and misused, misunderstood, when it's out of balance, it can be too much. It's the greed. It can be scarcity and lack as well, but it can also be greed. And so I feel like we need to understand where excess is no longer serving us. It's about coming together as a human community, human society, not seeing ourselves as separate any longer, and recognizing that excess and that there's only so many pieces of the pie to go around, and I need to keep mine and protect mine. I feel like what we're learning here is we learned how to build something amazing, and then we overstayed our welcome with it. We didn't nurture it. I want to say maybe properly or appropriately, or we weren't paying attention to it. We started to take it for granted. And so I feel like that's kind of the lesson is paying attention to where we've gotten a little bit out of balance with this And this is now an opportunity for us moving forward, because again, we can't go back. Moving forward, building and creating something, because we know how to do it already. So, new beginning based on an already established foundation. Now we can open ourselves to a new vision, a new dream that brings us back into that full Empress card space, which is I have fruits and foods and wines aplenty. I have beautiful roof over my head. I have friends galore. I have music and artistry and all the things. And you are welcome to partake of what I have. And, let's be jolly and merry together. Let's continue to work towards keeping that abundance going. But it's about, I want to say it's less about the individual and more about the coming together. Second question, what needs to be released now in order to clear space for a new chapter? So the other way that I would say this is, what are we growing out of? Oh, wow. 10 of coins. So 10 of coins is legacy, right? So I'm going to read this in a couple of ways. From a literal perspective, I feel that we are experiencing a release of our financial systems, our financial security and stability as we have known it. I was just talking to you guys about new beginnings based on an already established foundation, and that's a 10. So our next card we got was the 10. So we are releasing this idea of, I want to say, old money or old ways of doing things, the legacy that was built, and we're stepping more into a space now of the, okay, now that we are releasing this old energy, this old frequency, and dare I say, we're seeing a lot of the old sort of patriarchal system kind of rearing its ugly head, and dare I say, maybe it's hopeful to say, but it's one last kick at the can. It's the death throes. We're witnessing the death throes of a bygone era that just doesn't know that it's bygone, doesn't know that it's obsolete. And it's up to us to acknowledge that and to say, okay, we're here to create a new legacy, a new memory. And of course, in this card, it's beautifully depicted. There's a photograph of, sort of the family and the generations. There are some sewing things, thread and needle. There are coins sort of strewn around. There's a ring and a dice here, and there is a snake moving all throughout it. And I feel like we need to release the old in order to really step into what is the new legacy that we want to build, because we have outgrown the old way of doing things. We've outgrown the I want to say the focus on the material in a very humanistic way. And we are being invited to step into that intuitive way, the co-creative way. And if you are, as I like to say, riding the slipstream energy of that co-creation, you know that you can be like the Fool card. You can just carry, you want to pack lightly, you just carry a small bag because you just need a few things for the day, because the rest of it is all on what you're going to be receiving as you go. Okay, universe, I need I'm getting kind of tired and I need a place to stop and rest, and I need some running water. And you just walk, and all of a sudden there's in the clearing the perfect spot, with the perfect shade, fresh running water. And you didn't have to work so hard for it. You didn't have to put in a ton of effort. You didn't have to control the narrative around it. You said, thank you, universe. This is what I need. Thank you for bringing it to me. And I'm going to keep walking because I know you're going to show it to me. And that is what I feel we are truly releasing, is this sort of more dogged human concept that we have to put in a lot of effort and work in order to matter, to make a difference, and to get our needs met. This is a shift. It's a big shift. And of course, it takes a lot of faith. Like I said, radical acceptance, radical surrender. We're all learning how to do it. We're learning how to do it together. But I truly believe that that is what we are being called to stand in right now, is trusting in ourselves to get the things that we need rather than giving away our power. What energy helps to provide guidance around how to recharge at your root at this time of change? So, our root chakra is the sort of the basics, right? The start of us when we come into when we're birthed into this planet, everything begins and ends kind of with the root. And so it's rootedness, it's coming into that space and knowing that fundamentally we are always safe, that Mother Earth is always going to provide. And right now, I don't know that there are many of us who I want to, I feel like it's an ideal, but that ideal is being tested. We are being tested in a lot of ways with that. If I can practice what I preach, this is what I say I believe in. So then now that I have the opportunity to step into that, what does that look like? And sometimes it's easier said than done. Oh my God, I love it. So we got another 10 of cups. So the 10 of cups is the ideal situation. It's the perfect solution, the most ideal outcome that you could have imagined. It was the goal that you achieved. So I feel like the 10 of cups is coming through for all of us right now with that recharging at the root, because it's inviting us to get into our ocean of emotion, not from the perspective of getting caught up in our feels, but going into the ocean of emotion for strength and for support. And our ocean of emotion sits in our sacral chakra, which is right above the root chakra. You could almost say that the sacral chakra is a portal to the root chakra and also protects the root chakra. So getting into your root to recharge your root, it is very much about seeing into the vision of what you want this world to be. And it's not about we could talk about the collective vision all day long, but I want to say to you right now, the world is in such disarray. There is so much division that I don't know that we actually could, we'd probably have to like boil it down to this keyword and that keyword and the other keyword, and we would find commonality in the vision that we want for the world as a whole, as a collective. But the ways to get there and how it all looks, sort of in the broad picture, is very different and unique. So, you know, I say it has to start with you at your core, you at the root. What is it that you want to see? And understand and know that that vision, that ideal that you're creating, your perfect outcome, is going to feed into the collective. It's the ripple effect, right? The butterfly effect. Um, it matters. And when we can't control everything else around us, because we can't control other people, places, or things. All we can control is our own reactions to things or responses to things. If you're stepping into that space and you're saying, okay, what's the vision that I have for this world? Sit in that, bathe in that, make that your mantra, and find peace and wisdom and security and hope and motivation in that ideal, because that is something that you can control. When you have that thought and you feel into it, that sacral chakra, the ocean of emotion, we know that our thoughts become things when we feel into them. So when you're feeling that, then you know that you are manifesting that. You are co-creating that for yourself. And if you're co-creating it for yourself, other people around you are going to be able to benefit from it as well. I think that's really important. It's so weird to talk about, like, we are connected, we are one, we are all a collective, we need to be there for one another. But I really believe that the only way for us to establish the bridges from all the division that's been created is through our own individual paths and choices. So it's kind of weird, but in my brain, it kind of makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but that's what I keep getting. That's what my guides keep saying, and that's what our guides are saying today, is focus on you, focus on the ideal that you want to see out in the world. And that is going to really help the collective to grasp onto that as well, grasping onto the heart of it. Okay, next question. What card energy can help me to embrace this challenge with grounded confidence and less anxiety in the process? Oh my God. And hands up if you are struggling every day with a lot of anxiety, because that is something that I've been really challenged with in this way. And I mean, like some days are better than others. Some days I'm really good and I got my shit together and I'm on a roll. And I think, okay, 2 days in a row. All right, I got this. I got this covered. I found the formula and it works great. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed. So this is a really important question. So grounded confidence, less anxiety in the process. We pulled the strength card. And OMG, are they ever talking to us? So the strength card, for those of you maybe who are new to the tarot, the strength card in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot always depicts a kind of a beautiful girl, young girl or young woman. And she's got her hand in the mouth of the lion, and the lion has basically submitted to her, is the kind of the whole point of it. And I like to see this rather than submission. I like to see this as a co-creative effort. This is a building of relationship. But when we're talking about the strength card, it's indicative of the inner strength, that inner core energy. The strength card in the tarot is representative of the Leo sign in astrology. So Leos are all heart, and they express their service and they express their love externally out into the world. So I find it interesting always that the strength card is the Leo card, and yet there's so much of this component that invites us to be more internal in our approach to things and approach to life. And I believe that's why the animal relationship is there as well. And of course, the lion represents, the top of the food chain, right? The top of the pile. And, he's the king of all animals type thing. And she's able to, with her honesty, with her authenticity, with her truth, with her love, and with her perseverance, she's able to connect. The opposite of this card, I also like to read in many cases as like ego, right? So if you're going within, you're doing the deep dive, you're getting that inner strength within you, you're tapping into the wisdom that you've learned from maybe hardships that you've experienced, some trials and tribulations, as well as, the happy things and the happy moments. When left unchecked and out of balance, this is the card that says the ego might be getting in the way. So when we're talking about this energy helping you to embrace the challenge that we find ourselves in with grounded confidence and less anxiety in the process, I feel like it's an invitation to really discern between your ego voice and your inner guidance. And one of the easiest ways to do that is like the inner guidance or the intuition. I always like to say is the soft, gentle whisper, the soft, gentle nudge, the just kind of the knowing. It might be butterflies in your stomach of excitement. It's an inspiration that gets you ignited with something. And then the ego voice is the squeaky wheel that often gets the grease and comes in and says, "Oh, but wait, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? Don't you remember what happened the last time you tried that? It was a disaster. You got hurt. Nope, we're not doing that. No, 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 you're not good enough. You don't have enough education, or you don't have enough this or that or the other thing. You're too much or you're not enough." That's the ego voice that comes in kind of in a big, bold, brash way, that lion way, that roar with the fear and the, intimidation and all the rest of it. And she's coming in and saying, you know what, we don't have to go that route. And I've got another way. And it's my intuition that I'm going to listen to. I'm going to trust that. So it's our intuition. Um, it's the lack of ego, or I want to say balanced ego, repurposed ego, that is going to help each of us to really ground into that confidence. Trust that your inner guides your intuition and your inner voice is going to get you where you need to go. It's never let you down before. It's not going to start now, but we have to listen to it. We have to listen to it. And with this strength card and the relationship that you build with your ego is so important. So focus on building a loving, purposeful, intentional relationship with ego. And that's going to help you with a lot of that anxiety. Next question. What are we opening into on a personal level around our identity at this time? Who are we becoming during this process? OMG. I love this. Okay, we got the Queen of Wands. So I absolutely love the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, she represents to me always similar in that energy of the strength card. She's a wand energy, so she's all about the fire. She's kind of got that entrepreneurial spirit. So she's not afraid to go it alone. And this queen, over all of the other queens in the traditional tarot, doesn't have a safety net. All the other queens have a safety net, but she doesn't. But she does have her furry friends next to her, and she does have her fire. She has her wit, her guile. She has her ambition, and it's not ambition in a negative way. It's more of the I've received this information. I'm fired up about it. This lights my fire and floats my boat. And I'm not going to let anyone dictate to me whether or not I can do it. I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to figure it out for myself. And I take the good with the bad. I understand that I might have to throw some spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. I understand that there may be failures or missteps on the way to the success of the outcome. But I believe in myself and I believe in the visions that I receive, the inspirations that I have, and I move forward on that, knowing that all is well. So I love that this is what we are all stepping into is I want to say a certain level of independence, but it's independence not from a brash and rash perspective. It's more from that perspective of I really want to do this and I don't really need anyone else's permission to do what I need to do for me. I'm going to lean into what my heart and my soul are telling me to explore because I'm here for a reason and I'm here for a purpose. And when I use the term purpose, I don't feel like we all need to get hung up on that word. I think sometimes that word gets overused. People get all paranoid because they're like, oh my God, I don't know what my purpose is in life. It's not about that. I feel like it's more of choosing your purpose. That's where the empowerment comes into the mix. That's where you really are strong. And that's what the Queen of Wands is saying. I don't need anyone else's permission to get done the things that I want to get done or to be the person that I choose to be. And I come back to this when I was talking about the vision, like what is your vision and creating a vision for yourself. And then, by you walking that and talking that and living that, you're putting that into the collective and others benefit from it. I feel like that in essence is exactly what the Queen of Wands is saying here. She's like, this is who you can become. You can become whoever you want to be. And what you're witnessing being destroyed, torn down, all the craziness and the chaos, it's understanding in spite of all of that, I am still my visions are still valid. This is what I choose to do, and I'm going to be supported because I do pack light. I don't need a lot to experience it all. I don't need a lot in order to have it all. And I always feel like this is a great time to talk about non-attachment versus attachment. It's not that source energy says, you come onto this planet to struggle and to have nothing and to have to fight for everything. In fact, I feel like that's in many ways where we are at this time is source is saying enough of these kinds of limitations. It's time to remove these limitations so that you can build something for the new energy, the new era, for the new you that you are creating. So I feel like that's what's really coming in there. How can you bring more heart to your shifting identity and purpose during this time? Knight of Swords. Wow. Okay. So this is a really interesting depiction of the Knight of Swords. Of course, you have the typical knight riding on the white horse. He happens to be all in black. You don't see his face. You're focused on the horse, and the horse is looking you in the eye. And there's some, I want to say, sort of skull and crossbones sort of in the landscape. There's birds in the air. There's definitely a storm. It's an kind of an overcast day, but you're moving forward. And I feel like when we're talking about bringing more heart to the shifting identity and purpose, what I'm seeing here is I feel like the horse is talking to us, and the horse is saying, you know what? I got you. This knight thinks that he knows that he's driving me, that he's steering me, that he's telling me where to go. But I actually am a big part of this. And white animals in tarot represent spirit, they represent that divinity. So I feel like the Knight of Swords is coming through, this particular card is coming through as a way of spirit saying, hey, let me come through your heart and your soul energy. Let me lead the charge. You might think you're in control here, but if you let me take you where it is that I know you're going to want to be, I know that it's going to want to work better for you, then let's work more as a team. Knight of Swords traditionally indicates a bit of impulsivity. This is the Knight of Swords that might leap before looking, that can be a little rash, not hot-headed. That's more, I want to say, sort of the Knight of Wands energy, but definitely a lot of movement forward. And when we're asking about the heart space and the heart energy, I want to say to you, it's like meditating through your heart space, connecting through meditation or through like silence exercises, and just placing a hand on your heart and tuning into that space, tuning into that area of the body, and inviting source in to that space, inviting spirit into that space and saying, all right, spirit, pull out of there what it is that you want me to express. Make it really obvious so that I'm not, I'm not being impulsive. I'm not rushing ahead to things that I don't know or don't understand about it. And I'm going to say Knight of Swords also is really confident in kind of the choices that he makes. Even if he falls flat on his face, he kind of owns it. Um, there's this, of course, because it's sword energy, it's the air, it's communication. I feel like this is the invitation to communicate with source before you leap before looking. Let source take you, and you follow that source energy because it's going to work out better for you in the long run. Okay, how will this change shift my consciousness into deeper awareness of myself as part of the collective? This one's really important because, as I've been saying all along, um, I feel like the secret to coming together as a collective, to being able to find commonality, is through our individual pursuits, in terms of our spiritual and energetic visioning, and what we're choosing to contribute out into the world. Because if you're coming from a heart-centered space, if you're coming with the best of intentions and you just want to do good and be a good person, that is going to be fruitful and multiply. So, how will this change shift my consciousness into deeper awareness of myself as part of the collective? We have Three of Cups. So, really feeling here like this is meant to bring us together. It's meant to remind us of I want to say, the simplicity and the purity of joy in every moment, if we are opening ourselves to it, if we are willing to sit in the simplicity of that. And I don't mean to indicate here that we have to give up material things and blah bitty blue. That's not what I feel is coming through here. It's more about presence. We get so caught up, especially here in the US, and I would say North America. We get so caught up in the drive of, working, and I've got to work to make X number of dollars because then I matter. Then I can do the things that I need to do. Then people are going to take me seriously. Then. It's always the I'll get there when, I'll feel the thing when. But that's not how source energy works. That's not how the world actually works. It's more about what's the secret saying? I'll see it when I believe it. We often think, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. No, it's I'll see it when I believe it. So, Three of Cups is saying, take those moments to celebrate. Celebrate your life, celebrate your neighbor, celebrate your friends, celebrate your dog. Um, be present in every single moment because in spite of everything else that's going on, and that's what I love about this card, is there is a little bit of storm in the background, but you've got these three women all barefoot under this beautiful flowered trellis, and they're drinking tea. They're doing a little tea ceremony, and she's pouring the tea into the cups, and it's a nice little garden party. And there's storm in the background, but even though there's a little storm in the background, it's not stopping them from having fun. It's not stopping them from saying, let's push all the other stuff to the side and really focus on what matters. And what matters right now is our connection to one another. And I feel like that's really what we are creating. It's also a three. Three is about creation, collaboration, coming together in those ways. Three also brings about balance. I know in the tarot, twos typically talk about balance, but I also believe that three is a balance of its own. So the divine masculine, the divine feminine within each of us, and then spirit mixed into all of that, the three. So that's what we need to really step into. And we need to get clearer with ourselves on an individual level on where we push away that, I want to say, that conscious awareness, that higher conscious awareness of what really matters. And we all do it. So PS and FYI, it's not a judgment. I'm looking at it right now and I'm going, yeah, I know I did it last week. I pushed away an opportunity to go and hang out with someone because I just was like overwhelmed in all the things and the stuff. And I'm looking back now and I'm going, that might not have necessarily been the best option. It probably would have lightened my spirits to just get out for a little bit and get out of my head. So finding ways to do that, I feel, is really going to help you with that change and that shift that's occurring. What card highlights and inspires or ignites the energy of your courage? Ooh, Eight of Cups. So, Eight of Cups is about delving deep into that soul space, that ocean of emotion, and figuring out what really matters and what you literally need to just cut the cord on and walk away. And what I keep hearing in my head right now is run, don't walk. So, with this Eight of Cups coming up, I feel like it's an invitation when we talk about what card highlights and inspires or ignites the energy of courage. It's the I got to walk away from all this stuff that keeps me heavy or keeps me tethered to this old version of me or just to this old version of life. And I know it's kind of mind blowing that it's only been a handful of months. We're not even talking years. It's a handful of months, but those handful of months feels like it was a decade ago because there's so much that has been transpiring, and every single day there's something new. I feel like the Eight of Cups is coming through to say, get inspired by stepping into each and every day, consciously saying, whatever happened yesterday is in the past, it doesn't matter. What can I do today in this moment right now? Coming back to the Three of Cups, to celebrate, to eke out the joy in every breath, in every given moment, in every exchange. This is courage. I feel like in the world that we do live in right now, it does take courage to detach from what I like to say the game of life, the 3D component of life. Many of you who are listening to this are, definitely more spiritually minded. So I think you'll understand when I say that we are living in an illusion. There's talk of living in a matrix of sorts, and I always like using the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah, you know what, dude? Like, Oz looks completely different to me now because I know that you exist. I can't unsee you. I can't undo that. And I feel like with understanding that everything that is transpiring right now is a part of the game of life, and you understanding that it is an illusion in a lot of ways, that it is a game, and that what you can do is you can observe, you can step back from all of it. You're still a part of it, but you're stepping back from the game. It's kind of like being the creator of a game, playing with a bunch of people who don't know that it is a game. They believe that it is absolutely, this is life or death. And you're stepping back, you're participating, but then you're stepping back and you're saying, yeah, I know that there's something outside of this. I know that there's a different purpose and reason for this. So let me observe sort of the grand experiment and see what comes up and comes through, and then I can choose to dive back on in with a different strategy, or I can go back in where at the entry point that I sort of took a step back, but always knowing and understanding that there's something outside of the game. And that's what I'm really feeling this is about. It takes courage to step back and to really stand into what you feel is true, what you believe, what you know at your core is your truest identity. And yeah, the rest of the world is going to be doing its thing. It's how outside forces affect us in a lot of ways. But it's understanding there's a component of you that is witnessing all of it. And so therefore, it's an invitation to walk away from the illusion and to get right into the core of you. And it's the big I, right? It's that, I want to say it's that big I energy. It's the soul essence that is you. All right, we're going to pull an anchor card to provide support and stability during this burning phase. Oh, I love it. Oh my God. Okay. So whenever you're having that moment, you're waking up and you're going, what the fuck? How did it get this to this point? Or I don't know what's going on, or I just need to tune out the world. We have the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords, I couldn't have picked a better card for this. The Queen of Swords, she's about boundaries. She's thoughtful in her approach to things, but she's also a little bit detached from an emotional perspective, not completely emotionally detached, but just detached in a way that she's done all the thinking and the planning and the assessing, and she's decided and determined what's going to be the right best path. She's decreed it, and now she's sitting in that. She's allowing things to unfold. She's ready to defend what needs to be defended if required, but she's also very boundaried. Nobody's going to come up to her after the fact and say, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right, have you thought about this, what about that, oh my, oh my. She's going to say, hey, I did the work, this is what I've decided, get out of my way. Either uh, participate and be a part of it, or move along, but you're not going to bully me. You're not going to take over what I have already put in place. So I feel like that's what we need on an energetic level throughout this burning phase, is that ability. We can borrow that from the Queen, that discernment energy, that thoughtful, heartfelt planning. And then, okay, I've created the plan, I've created the vision, I've released it, I've manifested it, I've put it out into the universe, and now I'm just going to be in my little bubble. I'm going to energetically make sure that I'm not taking in or taking on anything that is going to sway me from what I have already put out into the world, what I already know is coming to pass or coming my way, because I've co-created it. Feeling like this is really a big one for us to consider. This is something important to be stepping into. It's like I often say, with manifestation, we have to be so careful to not manifest over our manifesting, because we reset the clock. we reset the timer every time we manifest something and then it doesn't show up right away, and we try to manifest the same thing again the next day. It's like, no, you already manifested that. So work on future memory, work on energetic boundaries. And that doesn't mean not going out and being a hermit and isolating necessarily, unless you really feel called to do that. At times, what it means is I stand in my courage. I go out knowing that, all right, I own my choices. I did the work and I chose this path, and let's just see how it unfolds. And no one's going to get in the way of trying to infuse self-doubt or trying to take my energy with their fear or their anxiety or their beliefs or their opinions. And Queen of Swords, it's boundaries, baby, boundaries. I love it. How can we support one another through this time? And, this is a big one because we all have our own opinions, our own feelings about all of this. This is a very interesting time to be alive, where we have family members that are taking sides and, having to, figure those things out, and differences in friendships. So, how can we truly support one another without getting into, like I said, that game of life mentality, that 3D energy? Oh my God, we got another queen. So we've got our third queen, Queen of Coins, Queen of Pentacles. This is a great card. So she's all in yellow, like a golden yellow. She's smiling. She's smiling so big. She's got her hands open. She's so welcoming. She's got this beautiful white cat sitting by her feet. She's got coins and grapes and apples and all sorts of things all around her. And she's just this shining beacon of hope. And I feel like this is what we want to be, is we want to be generous with one another. We want to be generous of spirit. We want to be generous of heart. We want to be generous with our praise and our compliments. We want to share our love. And pentacle energy, coin energy, is all about the thought that has been made manifest. It's what's come to pass. It's in the physical. It's in the present. So I feel like this is really saying, if you don't have the money to donate, don't worry about the money. Just be generous with your compliments. Be generous with your pleases and your thank yous. Be generous with the let me hold the door open for you. I always like to say, make it your mission every day to do 5 things, maybe 3 to 5 things if 5 doesn't work for you, but do 5 things out in the world where you can even do it like not like you have to do it like a checklist, but make a little checklist. I want to say it's a kindness checklist. It's a gratitude checklist to go out and do 5 nice, kind things for another person. And sometimes you don't even have to say anything to that person. You're just sending them love as you're walking past them on the street. There's one kind thing that you've done. That's how we can support one another through this time. And I'm also hearing listening to one another when we're speaking, listening. And I don't mean that in a like, oh, I have to listen to somebody that I really don't want to, like, I don't agree with them or I don't hear their words. No, I feel more like just really, when somebody says, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. How are you? Like, that's a standard here in the US and in Canada too. Oh, I'm fine. How are you? Well, you might not be fine. You might have just like lost your dog and you're like so sad. But like, no, I'm not going to tell a perfect stranger who asks me, how are you, about all that stuff. And, yeah, like read the room and, like, pick your moments. But I want to say it's authenticity in that. So listen to someone when they say I'm fine and you sense that they're not fine, there's something else going on. You can say, no, how are you really? I've got a couple of minutes. How are you really? It's listening to one another that I feel is really going to help us to navigate these times. All right, our next question. Where are we growing and going as a collective soul? This is all about the human potential. And I identify as a star seed, so this is for star seeds and light workers, as well as the human seekers and the healers. And we're all in it together, right? So when I talk about human potential, we are all having a human experience. So what is our ideal potential? What is it maybe on an individual level that that your soul wants to get to as a part of the human experience, but also where are we collectively going and growing in that human potential as a soul. Oh my God, we got another three. We got a lot of repeats. We had two tens. We've got actually, no, we have two threes. We have two eights. We've got three queens. The Empress is a three. So actually, yeah, no, we do have three threes. Wow. Okay. So three of coins. So when we're talking about where we're growing and going as a collective soul, this, I mean, you couldn't pick out a better card for this. It's about collaboration. It's about getting away from this idea that we all have to protect our own and hunker down and every person for themselves, and there's not enough to go around. This instead is saying we are coming together more to have more connection and true connection. I want to say it's the kind of connection that that matters, that makes a difference, that means something. It's the kind of connection that feels deep. It's not superficial. And I know I am speaking to a lot of my fellow starseeds when I say connection is I mean, it is hard to find sometimes as a starseed to find that true deep connection with another person, because a lot of times you're there for people, you feel into other people's, stuff, you're showing up for them, but when it comes to the things that you need, it's not because they don't want to. It's sometimes just a lack of capacity. It's a lack of awareness or understanding, or they just aren't at that level. There are just different levels that people are at. And, quite frankly, I'm saying it from a starseed perspective, but I mean, anybody, I'm sure everyone has had that experience where you give to a person in many, many ways, and you feel a lot of satisfaction in that. But when it comes around to you needing something, it's not that they're not giving, it's that what they're giving, it's not enough. It doesn't fill that hole or that need, and you find yourself having to seek it elsewhere, or to give it to yourself, or to just feel like I'm not getting it. So this three of coins is a real invitation for us to connect and to have those kinds of connections that really matter, that really, I want to say, make the difference, make us all feel like we do matter and we are connected. And our final question for today: how can we keep our frequencies free and clear of the 3D drama that is playing out on the planet at this time? This one is just, I threw this one in. This isn't one of my original spread questions, but I threw it in today because we all need some help with our frequencies. Oh, interesting. I was not expecting this. 7 of Cups. We all have choice. And I was talking about the illusion of things. 7 of Cups is dreams and illusions. It's also about that choice energy. And I feel like it's important for you to not look with your 2 eyes, but to look in with the 3rd eye. Close your eyes, blindfold yourself, go into those spidey senses and feel into what is maybe not being said. Feel into what exists that you can't necessarily see with your own 2 eyes, and then make your choices from there. It's stepping out of the illusion, knowing that the illusion is still there. You can go back into it any time, but you have the unique ability to be able to remove yourself from it and make different choices. There are a lot of people in the collective who don't realize that they have that ability. So they make choices within all of it. And their choices are, I want to say, more limited. As a result, you have the ability here to step back, to see the bigger picture, to understand all the moving parts, and then to say, that's the path that I want, or that's the apple I'm going to choose, or I'm going to have that orange off of that branch. And then you move forward. I feel like this is the best way for us to keep our frequencies free and clear, is by checking out every once in a while, observing, and then listening, looking with our 3rd eye, listening to that inner guidance and wisdom, and allowing that to lead us. And then from there, we can, undo the blindfold and apply the wisdom and the logic and apply the plan that's going to make the most sense. But you want to come from that heart and soul space first. That's always going to keep you free and clear. Wow. All right, guys, let me just check on the time and see if I don't even know what time it is. I talk too much, so I want to just make sure I'm not going over time here. Okay, I think we're doing all right. Um, so, wow, this is really powerful. I hope, guys, that this brought you some comfort, brought you some food for thought. Like I said earlier, I could have chosen to do kind of a more predictive thing, but quite frankly, I feel at this point in time right now, prediction is kind of pointless or useless to a certain extent because we are in a time where things are shifting and changing so quickly. It's like from 1 hour to the next, from 1 minute to the next, things can shift. And we are in a time where we are jumping timelines pretty frequently as well. We just had one just a couple of days ago. There was another shift in the timeline that I felt right around the time that the new Pope was announced. So we're shifting all the time. So I encourage you to not think so much about the predictiveness of it. And I'm saying this from my own perspective as well. I have to remind myself of this because the human in me, the anxious in me, says, I just want to know exactly how this is going to go down and when it's going to happen and when is it all going to be over and when am I going to be able to kind of just get on with my life? But again, that's giving away my power. That's I'll feel like this when, but that's not life. We have to be present and in the moment now. And so I encourage you to take this as food for thought, maybe as some nourishment for the soul, to know that we are absolutely going to get through this, but we're going to get through this because we're choosing to get through this. We are choosing the visions that we're creating. We are choosing the way we are participating in this, quite frankly, batshit crazy alternate upside down world that we're in right now. But it's not always going to be this way. But it's up to us to get ourselves to the other side of it. And I hope that makes some sense to you guys. Nicole, not sure if you're there or not. I think it's time
Yep,
for shameless self-promotion. Are
it
you
sure
there?
is.
Okay, awesome. So do I have a minute or two, or am I out of time here?
You got, well, let's do two. Let's
Okay,
if
perfect.
you're
I think I'll be
lucky.
able to do it in less.
Okay.
So, again, Stacey the Black Feather Intuitive, so happy that you guys were here today. I really hope you enjoyed this and took a lot from this. And just know that you're not alone. We are all in this together. I'm struggling right along with you, and it's your energy that keeps me going. If you are needing a little bit of extra support or guidance, I would love to connect with you for a one-on-one session. You can connect with me through my blackfeatherintuitive.com website. I'm also all over YouTube and Blue Sky. Would love to see you there. If you're looking for something that's a little more lighthearted or maybe something that removes you from all of the flotsam and jetsam that we're going through and just gives you a little bit of escape, check out my Black Feather Couture Divining a VIP Life show on YouTube. It's on we release a new thing every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My favorite episode to do is Day Drinking and Tarot, but I do a number of different segments with different readings and just kind of a little backstage peek into the life of Stacey and information, guidance, and teachings to help you through this wild, amazing journey called life. So would love to connect with you guys there. Thank you, Nicole, so much for doing this and sending everyone so much love. We'll see you on the flip side.